know how to communicate. It's all communication. And your wife is not your chavrusa. So you got to learn a different type of love language.
Isn't she going to be your Rabbi?
She's your Ezer Kenegdo. Okay, Rabbi Isai, so here we go. We just mentioned the entire epic meeting of the brothers with Yosef. And the meeting climaxes with Yosef saying the words, Ani Yosef ha'oid avichai. I am Yosef, is my father alive. And the brothers are in wonderment. And they understand that the entire alilus, the entire journey that they had to go through, and him putting them through these challenges of bringing Shimon, and then going back to get Binyamin, and then bringing Binyamin, and then Yosef threatening that I'm going to keep Binyamin here, and then the entire approach of Yehuda. And we said, why was Yehuda so significant? Why was he the one that stepped forward? He was the guarantor, and he existed in a different status than the rest of the brothers. The other brothers, what we call luchutz, they were on the outside, whereas he was, so to speak, on the inside, that I might lose both worlds, olam haza, olam haba. And he steps forward to Yosef, and he threatens Yosef. He says, Ki kamoicha kepare. We said 4 pshatim in that. You're going to get saras, you're going to get leprosy, just like your forebear got for kidnapping Sarah. And also, Ki kamoicha keparo. I'm going to take you out. I'm going to take out Pharaoh also. Do you know who I am? Ki kamoicha kepara. You think this is a game? Yehuda said, I don't play games. This is real stuff. Yehuda was very, very powerful. Very powerful.
He was the leader of the brothers.
He was the leader of the brothers. That's why he becomes the king. He becomes the father of Mashiach. And he brings the brothers close. And now we're in the third aliyah. We're in the third aliyah. So look at Genesis 45:8. Genesis 45:8. Ve'ata. And now Yosef is speaking, and he says the following: Ve'ata. And now lo yatem shalachtem oisi heina. Listen to these words. He says, "You're not the ones that sold me down to Egypt." What do you mean? They were the ones. You weren't the ones that did this. You weren't the ones that did this. Ki ha'elokim. It was God that did all of this. It was only God that did this. It was not you. Everything that happened to me, being sold down to Egypt, and going to the house of Ashes Potiphar, and then being seduced by her, and then coming into the pit, into the dungeons of Egypt, and then me interpreting the dreams, and then the cupbearer getting out, the baker being hung, and then the cupbearer forgetting about me, and then on Pharaoh's birthday that he summons the cupbearer because he summons all the necromancers and all the idol worshippers of Egypt, and he says that I had a dream. And nobody can interpret the dream. And only the cupbearer comes and he says, oh, that Jew boy. Remember that Jew boy? And he speaks in a derogatory way against Yosef. He said, by the way, it's Chatosi Azkar Ayam, I have to mention my sin today. That there was that Jew boy and he interpreted dreams pretty nicely. And exactly what he said would happen to the baker happened to the baker. And exactly what happened to me happened to me. And Yosef interprets Pharaoh's dreams. And Pharaoh says, whom is like you, that the Spirit of God speaks within you? And we know, did Yosef stop and suffice with a simple interpretation of the dream, the 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of famine? He doesn't stop at that. He suggests and tells Pharaoh what to do. Yes, he says, go do this, which is a bit of chutzpah. Pharaoh did not ask you to tell him what to do. He just asked for an interpretation. But Yosef tells Pharaoh what to do, appoints somebody to gather the grain during the 7 years of plenty, And in the 7 years of famine, that you'll have grain, you'll have so much grain, the whole world will come to Egypt. And Pharaoh says, whom is like you, Yosef? It's you. And Yosef becomes the second most powerful person in the world, almost immediately from being in the dungeons with the murderers of Egypt. How fast a person can change his destiny, which is the light of Hanukkah. And then he's appointed to a very high position, and the brothers come down because there's no food in Eretz Yisrael. And then he sees the brothers, and he sends them down, and he takes Shimon, the whole thing. He says, you guys think that you did that? God was preparing this, that I should be able to take care of you. God was preparing this, that I should be able to take care of you. Imagine having the eyes of Yosef, to be able to see that God is running the story. And it wasn't that this guy did this thing to me and I don't like this guy because he did this thing to me. In a world where God is one, it's all from you, Hashem. Somebody made some nice magnets one time that said Emunah. Got the beautiful background, the circle magnet. Emunah. What's Emunah? It's all from God. And he was telling them right now, you think that you guys sent me down here? God has a plan. V'yasimenu la'av le'parai. Look at this language. I became like a father upon Pharaoh. Av le'parai. Interesting. Ula'odoin le'kol beisai. I'm the master of his entire house. U'moyshel b'kol eretz Mitzrayim. I'm the most powerful person, likely, in Egypt. I rule over all of Egypt. And then he tells the brothers, Maru, quickly, Halois avi, come bring my father, quickly. The amartem elav, and tell him, Koi amar bincha Yosef. So says your son Yosef, Samani Elohim la'odon la'kol Mitzrayim. That God has made me the master over all of Egypt. Rida Eli, come down. It's interesting, it's a Yerida. When a person comes to Eretz Yisrael, he does Aliyah. I was with somebody on Shabbos who moved over to Portland. He made a Yerida. The Israelis know this. Ani oseh Yerida, ma naseh Yerida. He comes to Eretz Yisrael, it's Aliyah. Rida Eli, Al Ta'amod. But he understood this as a Yerida L'tzarach Aliyah. There's such a thing of going down in order to go up. That's definitely a Breslov Torah. It's called a Yerida L'tzarach Aliyah, that you go down in order to go up, even higher. So he tells the brothers, go and get my father and come down to Mitzrayim. And don't delay. V'yoshav te be'eretz Goshen. I am prepared. I have prepared, and I'm preparing for you a place in Goshen. V'ayisa karav elai, and you'll be close to me. Ata ubanecha, you, your children. He's telling the brothers that you're going to come down here and have children. Ubenei bincha, you're going to have grandchildren here. And we're going to be camping out here for some time. This is the beginning of the exile. And we know that the exile would go on for some time. V'tzoincha, and bring your cattle, b'karcha, v'chol asher lach, and everything that is to you. Bring down your livestock. We're getting ready for a long sojourn here in the land of Mitzrayim. 210 years. 400 from the time of Yitzchak, but 210 years. And it's not going to be so simple down here. Could you imagine Yaakov and the brothers coming down to Mitzrayim, knowing what the Jewish nation is going to go through, as was prophesied to Avram Avinu? They knew that this time was coming. But the fact that they had Yosef already there setting it up, that he made for them a place in Goshen where they would have a yeshiva there, that they could shtag. I think some academics claim that it was near Alexandria, towards the north. Very pretty place. If anywhere to have your yeshiva. It's nice. V'chil kalti oischa, and I will support for you sham ki oid chamesh shanim rav. There's going to be 5 more years of famine. Penti voresh ata ubeischa v'chol asher lach. You have to come down here. This is the time. This is the place, and I've set it up for you. V'hine einechem royos, your eyes see ve'ene achi Binyamin, and the eyes of my brother Binyamin. Ki pi hamedaber aleichem, you hear the voice and the mouth of the one speaking to you. What is Yosef saying? Because you hear the mouth of the one speaking to you. What does that mean? It looks like at this time the brothers were still like, they didn't know, like, is this really Yosef? Now, some commentaries say that he was speaking to them in Hebrew. You've heard my mouth speak to you in Hebrew. And they don't speak Hebrew down here in Mitzrayim. So you should know that it's me. Other commentators say, no, that cannot be, because Egypt is close to Eretz Yisrael, and people would have known Hebrew. So other commentaries say that I told you the entire story of the sale of selling me. At that time, the only people that could have known this is you and I, that we were speaking Hebrew. All of the journeyers there and the tradesmen, they didn't speak Hebrew. The Yishmaelim and the Midianites, they didn't speak Hebrew. So I'm telling you something that nobody else could have known. That yes, the content of the sale, that particular moment, you see me speaking this out to you, you have to know that it's me. Remember, this is the brothers like. They cannot believe what they're seeing still. V'gadatem la'avi, go tell my father, es kol kivoidi, all the honor b'Mitzrayim. Look, you guys see what I've become here in Mitzrayim. You see that he is mamish, the king here. You see what I've become in Mitzrayim. There's kol asher re'isim, everything that you've seen. Umihartim, that go quickly. V'hayradtem es avi heina. You see, Yosef is telling them, you got to do things fast. There's something here about the quickness of the movement of coming down here. It's got to be fast. And what happens immediately after that? V'yipol ad savre Binyamin achiv. And at that moment, he falls onto the neck of his brother Binyamin. V'yev, and they cry. Binyamin bochal tzavarav. He cries, and then Binyamin cries on his neck. What were they crying over? Says Rashi, V'yipol al tzavre Binyamin achi v'yev. The cries of Yosef was al shnei mikdashos, on the 2 Beis HaMikdashes, the 2 temples. They're crying over the 2 temples. Why are they crying over the 2 temples? This obviously was prophetic tears. She'asidim liyos bechelkoi shel Binyamin. He's crying on the shoulder, the neck of Binyamin, because the 2 Beis HaMikdashes would be built. I thought they're built in the Chelik of Judah, of Yehuda. Where are the 2 Beis HaMikdashes built? Binyamin. Because it says that yes, the Beis HaMikdash is in the section of Yehuda, but Binyamin has a little ritzua, has a little strip that goes into where the Holy of Holies are. The Holy of Holies is actually in the portion of Binyamin. And because the Beis HaMikdash is ultimately to get to the Holy, which is ultimately to get to the Holy of Holies, and that's going to be sadly destroyed, both of them. He's crying on his shoulders because Seifan li Charev. Ubinyamin, so why is Binyamin crying? Ubinyamin bochal savarav, the cries of Binyamin as Mishkan Shiloh. What was the Mishkan Shiloh? What was the Mishkan? The Mishkan was the portable. I don't know what a tabernacle is. Can you translate that to English for me, please? So the Mishkan of Shiloh.
So they set it up.
That's right. That's where it was set up, and it would ultimately be destroyed there. A Mishkan means from the word to shochen, to dwell. The Mishkan is the place where God's presence comes down in an absolutely clear way in this world. Your neighbor in Hebrew is called your shochen, because your shochen is right here. That's why you want to be a shochen tov. You want to be a good neighbor, and you want to have shchenim tovim. You want to have good neighbors, and you want to be a good neighbor because they're right here. You know what also has the same word as Mishkan? Shechina. Shechina is that presence of God that comes in and dwells in our world. So the Mishkan Shiloh is where God's presence is dwelling in this world. And that was in Shiloh. And that was going to be in the portion of Yosef. And that would ultimately be destroyed. And Binyamin was crying tears over that. These are prophetic cries.
But, I mean, surely as well, you haven't seen your brother and how long you haven't seen him grow up and everything.
It's interesting, at that moment, you would think that the simple reason why they're crying is, haven't seen your brother. Tzaddikim live in very high places that I'm sure that on a human level they also felt like my brother. They're crying over, I haven't seen you. And this is not a brother from another mother. This is a brother from the Zelba mother. This is from the same mother. This is Mamish, my brother, full brother, Binyamin. I'm sure there was part of that. I'm sure. We're talking about the Shiftei Ka, they're so human. But at the same time, as they're crying, they're also crying into Jewish destiny. That them meeting up is like, oh, now we can get a couple brewskis together, brother. It's been a while. But they see destiny. They see destiny. They see love. Remember, this is thousands of years forward. They see destiny.
Rabbi, was there a Binyamin massacre in Shiloh?
To go into prophets, there were massacres in Shiloh.
They didn't like the other tribes like go after Binyamin or something, and that caused the separation.
It caused a separation, and it all came back together on Tu B'Av. That's why Tu B'Av is a very happy day. Tu B'Av.
The fruit day?
They call it the Shidduch day. Oh, that one. Tu B'Av. It sounds like very Haredi dating, that the women be dancing in the field in white, and then it sounds, very Haredi style. And then everyone would go over and see who they wanted to marry.
They did it next to Shiloh, no? Have you been to Shiloh before?
I was Zoicha, yes.
Like in the mountain here, where they run camp, and the field was down there. Like where they were the first.
Baruch Hashem, it's when the grape harvest is also.
Where?
Grape harvest. So here they're crying. V'yanashik kol echav, and he kisses all of his brothers. Sephardi style. I guess it was Sephardi. V'yev ka'aleim, and he cries upon them. V'yacharei chen dibchav itai, and now his brothers are speaking with him. V'hakol nishma beis paroi, and word goes out in the household of Paro Lamor, which sounds like they didn't know until now. Ba'u achi Yosef, the brothers of Joseph have arrived. They are here. There's a great reunion happening in Mitzrayim. Remember, Yosef is the boss. The respect that the entire of Egypt have for Yosef is humongous. And they knew Yosef is a holy person. He's a political genius. He's a king. He's a financial genius.
Wasn't there something about the Egyptians not wanting to eat with the Hebrews or something like?
The opposite. When he didn't want that at that moment, number one, that it should be embarrassing for the brothers, and it would happen, and he wanted to make sure they had kosher food. Got to keep kosher, even in Mitzrayim.
So he would have.
Don't mess around with kosher food, Rabbi Isai.
But doesn't mean he would have had.
Don't play games.
He would have to.
No, when in Rome, like they say, I was in Italy, like, how can you not? Spaghetti bolognese. Don't mess around. Keep it kosher. They had wild stuff in Mitzrayim. Wild. Erevas haaretz. The cuisine down there was wild, non-kosher food. You're like, what's wild? Like, what could that be? No, kosher food, Rabbi said. So now word goes out that the brothers of Yosef have arrived. V'yetiv be'enei Paro. Look at that. And it was good in the eyes of Paro. What was good in the eyes of Paro? It was good in the eyes of Paro. What was good in the eyes of Paro?
That he found his family.
That he met up with his brothers.
It was good in the eyes of Paro.
The prophecy came to him? Is there like the dream?
Of Paro?
Yeah.
Why Paro? It's going to be 7 years of famine, 7 years of plenty. It was good in the eyes of Paro. So I could see, simply put, it was good in the eyes of Paro because Yosef was so respected that his family must be chashuv people.
Yeah, he's got 10 Yosefs.
Now he's got 10 people to add to the Egyptian power. This is a super empire now. Remember, these were superhuman people. The Shvatim, or if you could have them in your inner council, then you're mamish, you run. It's like LeBron and Kobe. You know, if you can get like a couple more Kobes, you are unstoppable. But I'm sure it's deeper than that. It was good in the eyes of Paro. V'yomer Paro liYosef, Emor al achecha zois asu. And now Paro tells Yosef, he says, say to your brothers, this they shall do. Tanu es be'irchem lechu boy artsa Canaan. What is Paro now saying? Load up your animals and go directly to the land of Canaan. Bring your father and your households and come to me. I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you will eat the fat of the land. And you're commanded to say, do this. Take for yourselves from the land of Egypt wagons for your children and for your wives. Transport your father and come. And look at this. Look at verse 20. Ve'einchem al tochais al kalechem. Ki toiv kol eretz Mitzrayim lochem hu. Do not let your eyes take pity on all your stuff. It's not easy to leave a place that you developed a life. Well, many of the Yidden had to leave Persia and Tehran. I speak to people I know. It says when we left, we had empires, and you couldn't take anything with you. It's not easy to leave. Not easy to leave. But Paro says, don't worry. Where you're going, I'm going to give you everything in Egypt. I'm going to make you wealthy down here. You see the respect that Yosef commanded in Mitzrayim. That's obvious, the respect that Yosef had. By the way, what is the quintessential element of who Yosef is? Shmiras HaBris. If you're Shomer the Brit, you get everything. Everything.
That's how we got the world to...
You get everything you want in this world, and you want it to be for good. Shmiras HaBris. Yosef represented that. He is the Yesod. He's Shmiras HaBris. What do you see? Everything comes to Yosef. And anyone in an association with Yosef.
It's after it left. It's like he went through really difficult challenges. If you asked him for like several years of his life, is anything coming?
And all that time he was Shomer the Bris. Imagine Mamish being the viceroy of Mitzrayim. You know what they were offered? You know what you get offered in Mitzrayim? It was called Erevas Haaretz, Rabbi Yosef. Mitzrayim was literally called one big prostitute house. Excuse my French. So in that place, for somebody to be Shem of the Bris, he's like, I live in Antarctica and somewhere, and just a bunch of snow, nothing going on. Okay, nu shkoya. Erva Sa'aretz, and in the palace of with all the Avodah Zarah and all the sick stuff going on there, disgusting things, Yosef is mamish. Yosef at Tzaddik. If you're Shem of the Bris, you get everything. So Rabbi saying that's the final message. Yosef at Tzaddik. To connect, and we see that the main protagonist of these parshias now is Yosef at Tzaddik, which must be that there's a message for you and I of keeping the bris, making sure to know that everything belongs to you, Hashem, and that I'm dedicated to you, and I'm showing you the bris, b'siyata d'shmaya. And we're going to see that this will lead us into the days of Shoivim coming up, which we'll talk about more, which may be days that you never even heard about, but they're the days that are going to begin in the weeks of Shmois, Va'era, Boy, B'Shalach, Yisra, Mishpatim. We'll talk more about what that means. And B'ezrat Hashem, we should be zayich to all the bracha of the Torah. Amen ve'amen. We have to say our Tehillim though, right, Rabbi Yisrael? Page 975. 975. Oy shir lamalot esayna yeleyarim mehayin yavo ezri me'im Adonai oy se shomayim va'aretz anitem lamod raglecha al yanum shomrecha hine la yanam v'la isha shoymei Yisrael Adonai shomrecha Adonai tzilecha al yad yeminecha yoimam hashemesh la yakeka v'yareach b'layla Adonai yishmocha mikol ra yishmor es nafshecha Adonai yishmor tzescha v'yecha me'ata yad ha'elah. Shkar Rabbi Sai, 8:15 tonight. Hatzlacha Rabbi.